Hello and welcome back to This Week in Geeks, the Prototype Podcast. This is, well, it would have been the first show of the year, but I had a longer review ready to go for Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, and that sort of snuck out a little bit early. But yes, this is the first, I guess, official show of 2026. I am joined with Ken. How are you doing, buddy?
All right. Just going through a bunch of games and whatnot that I need to catch up on.
I hear you. We talked about doing a show like a week or two. Things didn't line up, and then we realized, hey, we've had a couple of these like showcases, directs, whatever come out. Maybe it's time to do a recap, get the year started. So we didn't quite get one out when it came to wanting to have a January show, but so consider this like the end of January, early February show. Plan is to probably do at least one of these a month where we get like a recap and then whatever gaming news has come out or showcases, and maybe talk about a state of gaming, how we are, and then maybe we'll do some topic shows throughout the year if there's like big titles that come out or franchises we want to talk about as things happen, and then of course run off basically from the review shows if we have a longer or larger game, or if a review we think is going to take 20 minutes or longer to talk about. That's when we throw it in as a special prototype episode. But yeah, we are going to sort of catch up in this on what we've been doing over the last month or two in gaming. Then we'll get into talking about the Xbox, what was it called? Was it a partner showcase? I think that's how they framed it. And then the
Developer Direct,
Developer Direct, and then Nintendo partner, whatever. the non-general directs of both, basically. Or I guess would you consider the Xbox One considered that? Is that it's their general, I guess, because they only do a full-fledged showcase in June now, I think, anymore.
Yeah.
So, whatever. They're in a state of weirdness. But anyway, yeah. What have you been doing since, I guess, Game Awards time period, gaming wise?
Well, one, I got into kind of just like the small emulator handheld market a little bit, and picked up
cool.
Ioneo's Pocket Vert, which this thing is
that the one that's good. Like it's a vertical like a DMG.
It's
like
a Game
original?
Boy Color, basically.
Oh, okay.
It just runs Android.
And a little bigger, probably, right?
Actually, not that much bigger.
So it's not too bulky then.
It's got a hefty ass battery, so yeah, it is a little bulky, but it's about the weight you would expect from like a phone.
Okay.
So I think it's a 35 milliamp battery. I'd have to look that up, but
still, it sounds like I know I've heard of it. It's just the reason I can't picture it in my head is there's so many of these things released every year now.
Yeah, that's true. But like the main thing is like it's no label buttons. The front is glass, and then the back is CNC.
Yeah, so the build quality is much more of a professional nature. Like I know that's a good brand, and I know you're spending more money on that, but you can really tinker around and get things working. So that's pretty
especially
sweet.
When it's running Android, so like
you can really experiment.
Yeah. Been messing around with some of the retro stuff. A lot of games from my childhood. Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, stuff like that.
And especially that a lot of those, like some are getting ports over to modern platforms, or they're part of like either a streaming service like Antstream or the retro thing on PC. Like there's options to play some, but there is of like the Game Boy handheld era, like Game Boy, Game Gear, all the way through to GBA. There's like literally thousands of games that have been either abandoned or just are impossible to find physically or digitally.
Yeah, I mean, like I most of the stuff that I remember playing consistently were a lot of licensed stuff, like Disney and
Yeah, and unless
Stuff like
Disney
that.
decides to, like, it's not like the ones that are based on like major TV or classic Disney movie properties. Those obviously get ported out, or they do
Right.
collections. But if it's like late
In the
'90s, early
in
2000s
Yeah, in my
licensed,
case, like Treasure Planet, the Game Boy Advance game.
yeah, yeah, like those are not viable for them to usually, like, unless there's like a big push with the publishers, like, hey, let's do all of their Game Boy games and license all of them and just hope that it's going to sell. You're kind of stuck either trying to track down an old cart that, maybe you can get dirt cheap, or maybe it was rare and it's like $100. You're like, I don't want to spend $100 on that. So you know what, that's what I find like these handhelds are best for. It's not even like the major, like, people are like, oh, you're just going to get it and play, Final Fantasy or Mario. And it's like, no, like, maybe I want to play Animorphs. the like weird JRPG Game Boy Color game that they put out, I think. And it's
or
like,
the Game Boy Advance SpongeBob the movie, the game.
yeah, stuff like that. You're like, that is just so off the radar that's what I think these handhelds are perfect for, because you can play them like as good, if not better, than you ever did before.
Yeah, and also like because it's an Android phone, and also the speakers are not absolute trash like a lot of these handhelds are.
Well, yeah, and the fact that because it's an Android one, I would assume it probably has a decent Bluetooth antenna, so you can go wireless
Yeah,
headphones if you want to,
yeah.
or hilariously connect up like a bigger Bluetooth speaker set or something, and just be blasting your Game Boy with the sound coming from far away in the room. That's weird, but you could do it.
Mm.
But yeah, man, that's pretty cool. I haven't been messing around with that. As far as handheld stuff, I played a little bit of that Atari Game Station Go that I got for the gift guide for review last year, and I've had it in my bed. Now, every once in a while over the last like few days, maybe a week, I'll turn it on and I'll randomly pick like a random Atari game I've ever played and play like 10-15 minutes, and it's good for that in sort of short bursts. But yeah, I haven't done a ton of handheld stuff. Playing some games for review, as previously said on the main show. I had a bunch of RPGs to review, and I've still got a few games that I'm working my way through. It's been the last several years. January has been like an RPG month for some reason. Maybe because it's a lull in comparison to, like, they can't compete with the holiday rush, but they also probably can't compete with like whatever. A lot of companies put out bigger games at the end of March, usually, like to end their fiscal year on a high note. And it's like, maybe that's why, Dragon Quest comes out, and a few others are like all in January. I'm like, oh my God, these are like 80-hour games. And I got them for review and I'm happy, but like, it's like nose to the ground, just boom, go into it. So I haven't had much time beyond that, but I did pick up, and as I've been previously talking about, different game systems, traditional, old systems that I can then upscale and do stuff with my retro scaler. I did get in the last week Sega Genesis Model 2. This, when you think of a Genesis, I would say vast majority of people think of that design, like the one that came bundled with like a Sonic 2. I got that from a local store, and it was like $50, and I used some trade credit to get it. And as of yesterday, the AV out to SCART RGB cable came that I had ordered for it, so I'm going to test it out later today. It did not come with an official controller. It came with a third party that I had never seen before. I don't even remember the brand, but it's a third party controller that's like a turbo controller, and it has like a switch on the back for like slow mode. So I'm assuming that just auto pauses and unpauses over and over again. But it's in a weird, awkward place, and it's almost like a light switch. I was like, "What the is this thing?" And I opened it up, some Phillips screws, and I just took like isopropyl alcohol, and I've been cleaning it. And I was like, "How did you get dirty on the inside of a sealed controller?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's an old Sega controller that was probably in the closet for like 30 years." But I did get an arcade stick for it at the same store that was a 6-button arcade, and I've never even seen that before. So I've cleaned that up. That was in much better condition. And for that, I know I have like 1 or 2 games somewhere here that are like, I probably have a copy of Sonic somewhere just in a bin. But same thing, I got a flash cart. for it that came in the mail. I've actually loaded it up because there's a bunch of like even modern games or modern like ports people are doing, or like people will get like source code for like abandonware or like retro even PC games, and they'll do things like try to port it to Genesis. So I'm going to try a bunch of weird things with it and see how it works. But that's sort of I'm slowly building my retro system collection that I can then use to stream with. So Genesis was not necessarily something that I was thinking, because I was like, that's something you can either emulate, or a lot of the games are on other platforms. But then I read that the Genesis is actually binary compatible with the Master System, which is something, I only ever owned briefly. And I was like, this is kind of cool. I knew that there was like the power base converter thing for it. But I didn't realize that. I thought that was like a situation where the whole Master System was then shrunk and put into like a cartridge converter. And it's like, no, the Genesis itself has all of the hardware. It's fully backwards compatible. It's like PS2 to PS1 sort of thing. Fully backwards compatible. And all of that, the reason that power base converter thing was like big and expensive was it had the cartridge slot, and it had the little card slot to play those card games that they had, like the cheaper games that were for Sega Master System. They're similar in size and look to the like the TurboGrafx 16 cards. And I was like, so they just sort of had to have that for that. And that power base converter is like hella expensive now because it's not common. But again, you just go to like AliExpress in China, and they're like, oh, you want a cartridge base converter? Here's a little cartridge thing that looks like those ones that they made for the NES that could play Famicom games. And I'm like, that's all you need? You can just pop that in the top and then pop in a Master System game, or even those flash cards. A lot of them will just let you play. Like, it just tells the system, yep, play it in Master System mode. And I'm like, huh. So I don't need to get a Master System. And they'll also, apparently, you can get either cartridge converter slots, or same thing with the flash cards that let you do Game Gear, because the Game Gear is binary compatible, almost identical to the Master System. The only difference was, I think, the resolution was like cut off at the side slightly, so slightly different res. So it's like my Genesis becomes a 3-in-1 system that I don't need to have other hardware for. So I'm like, bonus. So that's down off the list. And now, I'm keeping my eyes out for like a good N64 or Dreamcast or something. But we're getting to the point where the systems are starting to get more expensive. Like, it's like $50 for a Genesis, but a Super Nintendo will cost you $100. And I'm like, when you start to get into that range, it's like, I've got the SNES Mini, like I've got, which has most of the games that you'd want. You can always flash it to put more on. So it's like, I've got to really find a good deal to make it worth my while once I hit that. But I do for sure, like, I know the N64 is not the easiest thing to emulate, and you can do it, but it's not going to feel the same. It's like, so I wouldn't mind picking one up. I don't want to buy an analog. I'm not paying $300 for that.
Probably more because they don't make them as much as you want.
Yeah, like the only analog I was looking at that they even have in stock that I would want, and I would consider it, is they have their version of the TurboGrafx, their Turbo Duo or the Analog Duo,
and that they just announced that a year or two ago. So they're still making them.
They're making it. It's in stock. It says, but I don't want to spend $250. But then I look, and it's like, if you want a working Turbo CD, it will be over $200 US just for that. And then you have to get the working TurboGrafx, and then you got to get the AV out, blah, blah. It's like $500 to get it. So that is a situation where it is actually worth it. Because like you can go to Japan and you can go to eBay and you can pick up like a PC Engine, like their TurboGrafx, the core unit, you can get one for like $60-$70. But even they have a hard time finding the disc systems that work, because they're so early, like they predate even the 3DO when it comes to so like the CD technology is at a point where like it's just breaking down. So it's like, oh, so that might be a situation where I'm like, if I really, really want to play the, not on emulation, well, I guess technically, no, it's
FPGA.
Yeah. So if I want to play something with like the original games, that's pretty much the only option right now is to buy theirs. So I've got that sort of just on my radar. But beyond that, I'm pretty happy with that. I've just sort of been in that retro game mode. And then, I'm looking at the news, and like it's been a bit of a lull when it comes to new announcements until we hit these Xbox and Nintendo shows, which somewhat were surprising. I mean, you know, we've gone in mostly, I would say, amongst our team, it's been like, let's see what they got. We don't have our hopes up. It's how it's sort of been. Not that we're like, you know, upset with any company. It's just there hasn't been a lot announced. There's not, ever since we've had like issues with part shortages, like RAM has shot up in price for computers, which then affects obviously commodity items and things like gaming systems.
And we're going to see those prices continue at least for the end of this entire year.
Yeah.
Probably a little early next year, because things are starting to look up, ?
Yeah, like the one thing that's come out before we get into these actual showcases is you know, Sony has come out, and I think Nintendo have come out and said that they have already secured enough stock of RAM and the chips that they need, and NAND flash and that. They've secured enough for at least 2 quarters, both of them. Like they already have stock of that. Like they already own that. And another like 10 to 16 months, they've secured the capacity and the price point. So, you know, unless something major crazy happens, we shouldn't see more system price increases for another year or more. But if that depends, if the prices start skyrocketing beyond a certain point, you will get to a point where the supplier just says, fuck it, we don't care, we're breaking your contract and you owe us more. Like, if the cost is going to double or triple, they won't honor their contracts because they won't care. They would welcome the lawsuit because if you're the sole supplier, they won't care. So right now it still looks pretty good. It's just the one thing that doesn't look great is the Steam stuff, the Steam machine and that.
Yeah,
because
and they've already announced that, hey, we're still aiming for the same thing, but we were planning on announcing this earlier.
Yeah, I don't think the final price was announced, but like where I remember when Linus was down there,
they made a statement like, we were going to announce the final price beforehand, but right now we don't know.
Like they were remember they were surprised when Linus and other people were like, did you get this in at the $500 price point, which is what, and they were like surprised that would be something people would expect. Like, so it's pretty obvious that what they were thinking was probably the $700 price point, the $699. And they're probably going to have to go to $799 if I had to guess now. If they go higher than that, it's too much. That people won't buy it. People will like, and it's not a matter of like, oh, they'll find it somewhere else. No, we're getting to the point where people will actually go without. They would rather just not game than pay that price. Or hope that it's going to drop in the future. So, you know, fingers crossed that they can secure it at a certain price point. But like, if it goes above 800 retail US, which would be somewhere in like the 1100 Canadian, you can't really break the 900 to 1000 Canadian, or, you know, 800 to 900 US. At that point, people will just buy older hardware and be willing to deal with it. But, you know, fingers crossed they can sort it out or work something out. Like, I would almost be happy if don't lower the RAM, but lower the speed. If you have to change the last minute design and go back to using DDR4, do it. Like, it's dumb as it sounds. Like, they're not trying to compete with high-end gaming. They're basically trying to come in and be like, here is the baseline that a PC should be. Like, here's the minimum spec you need to design your game for. That's what everybody's been hoping for with them, is like, can we get a standard that everybody goes with? Because we saw how good that was in the PC realm, where for the Steam Deck, right? Because I feel like if we didn't have the Steam Deck, we would be like, Digital Foundry would lose their minds, because there would be nothing, like, no computers could run anything, because everything would just be targeting the max hardware possible. Because there's like that mindset of, well, we got to push the industry. It's like, no, you have to play the game. You have to be able to play it. And it's like, if the vast majority of people, like, when your game comes out and a 5090 struggles running it, it's not your fault. It's the game developer's fault. So the Steam Deck, and having sold, I think it was a few million. How many they sold? It's a few million of them, I think. Right? It's not
Yeah.
a lot, but
It's
that's
enough.
because
It's enough of a market to build your games
to have a
around
spec
making it to
around,
run.
and the clones thereof, and that. But having an actual PC do it, like not have the handheld, is going to be a niche market at that price point, because it just is. But having a baseline PC that you can also use as a regular productivity thing for kids or whatever, blah blah, having that is going to sell. They think it's not going to sell. It would sell way more if they could get that. If they could get it in the $599 price point, or down to that, you will have people that will go, I'm not going to buy my kid that Acer, that Dell, that insert name brand computer. Pre-builts are out of the question now at any price. You're going to spend more on RAM on your own custom builds now than you will on a pre-built. Like, they will look at it and go, well, yeah, it's a thing for gaming, but it's also small and it's got a good reputation. Maybe they'll bundle in a game with it. That would be the smart move. If they have to go $100 above, what you're expecting, they should bundle in a couple free games that eat the cost on that and work on it, because they can do it. But like, I feel like there's potential to sell like 10 million or 20 million of th80s things if they're at the right price point, and that would revolutionize the industry and be like, bam, you must be able to have 1080p 60, 1440p 30 on this platform, period, for the next 5 years. And if you do that, that would dramatically improve the quality and just the general performance of games on every platform, because you could then target that and go, okay, well, it's easier to port to PlayStation, or vice versa, if you just have a target in mind. But anyway, yeah. So end of talk there. That's sort of the state of gaming and state of how we felt going into a lot of these things here. And we may as well jump in. The Xbox Developer Direct, they've been doing these now a few years. I know they did it beforehand, but like, I feel like the spotlight's been on these, the last 3 years or so, probably. Where they do a couple of these a year. Generally now, they tend to do...
They always do one in January.
They do one in January, period, pretty much always. And then June is when they do their big platform update for, Jeff Fest, /E3, whatever. And then a lot of times now we'll also get one in August or September if it's ready for if they have stuff. If they have stuff ready to go for the holiday season, they'll have something there. Or they might do. I feel like the August-September one is either another one of these, or they'll do an IndieWire.
Let's show off an entire game.
An entire game, or an IndieWire big. Here's our indies showcase if they got nothing. But yeah, so we're jumping into this. Now, we knew we had a general idea going in what to sort of expect. Like, this was going to be where they had to show off Forza. And this is the Forza set in Japan. The more you watch this, the more you realize they have now found a way to sort of basically merge Need for Speed with Gran Turismo. It's become even more of a hybrid of that. Or actually, no, that's not even accurate. This feels like something Ubisoft would make if they had a way bigger budget. It's like The Crew or any of those. The idea that you're building a home base, you get to design and build your I guess farm town thingy, and then it looks fancy. I mean, it looks good. Not much more to say other than that studio is doing the heavy lift. This has now become the heavy lifting studio for them. This is their version of Insomniac. Yeah, because they have two major titles coming, and you could say, well, Obsidian does double A work, as evidenced by what they've put out and the expectations of what they have and the sales and everything. They're a double A team. This is triple A, big money. We know, sadly, that they've basically gutted the main Forza team, like I think they came to the conclusion that the simulator side of Forza, while technically impressive on the original Xbox and 360, they were never going to be Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Just even though when Gran Turismo on the PS5 launched,
And also
there were
just people
issues.
like the Horizon games more.
Yeah, it's two factors. Like when Gran Turismo launched on PS5, there were issues with the performance because obviously we found out ray tracing was added later to the spec of the entire console. And so like they had to rush to get things out. There were issues with it. But of course it got better and better and better. And every few months there's been major updates. And it is, unless you're like into like super duper nerdy number crunchy Assetto Corsa type stuff on or like real sim racing stuff on PC, it's the gold standard for simulation racing, period. And there's a reason that it stays exclusive. It's one of the crown jewels of of
Sony's catalog.
Yeah, like the day that comes out on PC, it would kill Horizon. It would kill like any other racer if they ever did it. And I feel like they don't want to do that.
No,
I feel like if the next, like, I don't think they would do it, but like if they did one like that, that would spell not doom, but it would be very interesting to see where the logic came from that, because there are entire people that just buy PlayStations for that sim setup. So like it's that big. It's sad that Forza proper is gone, but as you said, the other main factor is everybody loves, like, Horizon is that AAA arcadey style racer that EA and everybody else has seemed to drop the ball on the last 10-15 years.
Yeah.
So like I would say like the three big racing games nowadays and franchises that you can point to that everybody just loves, you've got your Mario Kart for your kart racing, like family oriented, where the racing doesn't matter. That's sort of like, that's been that. And you can argue about the last one where Sonic is probably a much better representation of that genre, but there's that. As far as the traditional arcade racer, you've got Forza Horizon. And then you've got, for your Sims, you've got obviously Gran Turismo. So it's pretty obvious the polish is here. It's going to be fun. I don't know how big the buzz is. It all comes down to Game Pass, right? Because I think everybody's going to play it. I don't know how many people are going to buy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to sell on PlayStation in the fall because that's when they're planning to release it. On PlayStation.
I suspect.
And Horizon 5 has sold so much on PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly, because it's what that's filling in the gap is like, I love my
an arcade
Turismo,
racer,
but I want a good arcade racer too. And there hasn't really been a good arcade racer on PlayStation in years. So it makes sense. I suspect, I wouldn't be surprised if this sells 5 million copies on PlayStation for the holiday season.
Easy.
Especially it's set in Japan. Remember, in Japan, it's not like very many people have Xbox or even play a lot of PC games like through the Microsoft ecosystem, right? Like they'll have Steam.
I think Game Pass helped them have
with
somewhat of a foothold in Japan, but not as much as they would want.
No, it's like as much as the West loves Halo, you have hardcore fans that like FPS games and like American style games, but then you hear like, generally if it's not on Nintendo or PlayStation and it's an American style game, it doesn't really sell there unless it's like, there are Call of Duty fans. It's just not as big. It's just the FPS genre and the American style stuff doesn't really that Microsoft is known for. It doesn't always translate. But this will. And when this like I don't think did they not, it's not coming to Switch yet, is it? I don't think
not yet.
I don't know. It's going to take a bit to pare it down, but it could. I wouldn't be surprised if it literally sells 1 million copies in Japan on PlayStation. So I could see that happening because it'll be big. So like that was never in. Like it says like it's coming out in May, but obviously that's the for anybody who's wondering, it's like you don't have to wait till the fall if you've got PC or Xbox or Game Pass. It's just if you're looking for PlayStation, you'll have to wait till the holiday season. Which, you know what? Honestly, by then, if you're on the fence, it might even be more polished or might include more stuff, or who knows. But that is very likely. They give themselves a few month window, obviously, to sell their big game, to do their thing.
It's about a 6-month window, give or take.
Yeah, it's that, but it's also probably because on PlayStation they're going to have physical discs.
Yeah.
I don't think that they announced it, but if you do get a physical copy of this, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a code in a box on Xbox. If they even do a physical, like if you noticed,
Microsoft has been getting rid of a lot of their physical anyway. So
yeah, where you're just literally buying code in a box. If they even have a physical release at all, this is one that probably warrants it. If I just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But the 6 months basically gives them time to get certified on the PlayStation platform. They're probably close enough to doing that anyway. But there'll be a holiday rush where they likely will have to have a physical copy of it for PlayStation. That's another reason why they're waiting till the holiday season for that.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to talk much more about it other than it looks fun.
Yep. Might as well move on to the big one of the big highlights of that developer direct, which was Beast of Reincarnation.
Which I looked at and went, it's like, take my own biases out of against the company and that. And I looked and went,
to be fair, Game Freak is just doing the concept stuff and the art stuff. The developing stuff is all out of house.
And what worries me about that is it going to feel like a Chinese
it's going to feel
Korean
like
game?
It's going to feel like a completely different. It will not feel like a Game Freak game. It will feel like someone else made this and Game Freak just did the concept art, which is what happened.
And like there are companies like Tosei and a few others that are really good at being like shadow developers, but I don't know if they announced who's doing it. But like
they haven't officially announced who is actually developing it, but Game Freak has said we are subcontracting out the actual technical stuff.
I'm just only worried that is it going to feel like every Chinese character action game? You know what I mean? Like that, where they all try to get that like
it feels like it feels like a hybrid. It feels like something like Final Fantasy remake trilogy.
Yeah, so if it feels like this is one that I think you're gonna have to play a demo to really understand it, because like if it was I would be more worried. Like if Game Freak said they're developing it themselves, I'd be like, this game's gonna suck because they've never done anything 100%. Like this. And it's not a matter of like me being just disparaging. It's like they are not great at optimizing the games that they've been technically refining for the last 25 years. They're not great at refining gameplay and feel of their own RPGs. So like, unless this was like a brand new team, like I'd be like worried. And then when I don't know who the shadow development team is, it worries me, because does it mean that they're going with like a team that Chinese is not a Chinese dev that isn't cohesive and just hires tons of people in like working on stuff, but that has no team cohesion? That's what I worry about. Or is it a team like Tosei or one of the teams that like Square or Konami, where they're a known commodity for doing good shadow coding work? If that's the case, then great. But I don't like the fact that they're not announcing who.
I'm seeing at the bottom it's Fictions, which is the guys that did Lego Party.
Okay, different style of game, but that was on a lower budget and style. Okay, I see that. So yeah, I this is going to need a demo. But I know that they kept talking about it's a one person, one dog game, and I'm like, that's an odd way of describing a game.
That screams Game Freak. But also the main thing that came out when they were showing the developers, it's all the younger people at Game Freak doing this.
The ones that want to try and really expand and do
and
more.
do something new
I get
besides
it.
Pokemon.
So I get respect. I feel like their description and how they kept calling it one character, one dog. All I could think of was like 2 girls, 1 cup. Like, don't advertise your game like this. 1 man, 1 jar, 2 girls, 1 cup, tub girl, all these horrible, horrifying internet things. And I'm like, Game Freak, no, have the American marketing team tell you, please don't call your game that, because it's going to be memed to death, especially since like you're known for making games that people love for the fun of the franchise, not games that are fun because they're well made.
I mean, for me, the main thing is like Game Freak's art and concept people are some of the best in the industry.
Absolutely.
It's their development that is awful.
The technical executions of their visions are not great, and are not just like behind the times. They're downright amateurish in most cases. So it's a trickle down effect. So it perhaps having them be the artistic creative leads is the better choice for this.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The surprise game was Kiln.
Yep.
Which you know what?
We kind of guessed it was going to be Double Fine doing something.
Yeah, because they do smaller projects, and their stuff can get turned around within a year or two usually now. And at the same time, Double Fine, even if you don't like their games, you know it's going to be an entertaining presentation when they do stuff.
Yeah.
So they've got. I mean, he still has that Maniac Mansion, LucasArts sense of humor to everything he does, and it's still there. So it's like, okay, a bit of a throwback to the '90s style of gaming humor, and it's still there. Kiln, I like the idea. It's you design different pots, they get possessed by these like spiritual alien type things, and then you go and try to destroy the other people. And
it's a MOBA.
It's a MOBA, looks fun, has that tongue-in-cheek, 90s Maniac Mansion, Monkey Island kind of humor to it. And looks like it's going to be fun. And I do like that their idea is anybody can pitch ideas. They'll take 2 weeks to try to develop the idea into a concept.
Yeah, they do that. They do it every year. And every year they do this like mini game, 2-week game jam. And sometimes they become a game.
Yeah, if it's good, they'll pitch it and they'll get the budget to do it. And if it's not, it just doesn't get made. And this was one of the ones where they did it. They liked it, and obviously they went to Microsoft, and Microsoft's like, yeah, that's a good idea. That actually looks fun. And again, low budget, like not indie, but like AA budget for this kind of game. And interesting idea, something to put out on Game Pass, feather in the cap sort of thing. It looks
and it's launching everywhere.
Yeah,
not just Xbox. So
exactly. So I think that was going to be fun. I'll give it a try. I'm not usually into that, but like I like Overcooked and certain games like that. It's that sort of manic energy.
Yeah.
And then Fable, which looks a bazillion times better than everything they showed previously. Having the time off was good. I get angry that people got so fixated on the character facial designs in the previous ones, because they're like, women need to be pretty or I won't play. And it's like, have you played any of the previous games that were in the series from like Lionhead at all? Everybody's ugly. Like these games were not.
It's
were not
British.
These games were not Final Fantasy. These games were not like Baldur's Gate. They were never thirst trap games. They were weird British games that everybody looked like hobbits.
Yeah.
That was like, this is not Oblivion. This is not The Witcher. Like, it was never meant to be like that. So the arguments that were made were just people going nuts because they were already part of the whole Gamergate anger furious, I'm an incel anger shit. And it's like, they were smart. They didn't show the person's face until like later on when they finally showed. They're like, oh, you can change it however you want. It's like, were there changes made to maybe accommodate or avoid that? Maybe, but I never had an issue with how it looked previously. My issue was going to be, is it going to feel like the originals? I only played a little bit of Fable 1. My brother played a lot of Fable 2, so I remember watching him play, and I was like, this is fun. He did all the tricks, like changing the clock in the system to get money and all those little things you could do.
And I mean, this is it's a pseudo reboot.
Yeah.
Like, all the events of Fable 1 through 3 happened, and this is years in the future.
Yeah, so a soft reboot. And when they started going into like what you can do, I'm like, oh, they're starting to enter Baldur's Gate levels of like how you can interact with the world and change how the world behaves around you.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they're doing it. Like, they're going for it. This isn't just like we're slapping a new engine on this and letting it go. Like, no, there's a lot of thought put into this. There is like Obsidian levels of thought put into like say what you will about Outer Worlds 2, like it didn't sell as well as people were hoping, but the system that they had in place for the perks and like the stuff that could, if the bad things that could happen, like if you're always crouching, giving you the perk of, oh, now when you stand up your knees crack and everybody can hear you. Like things like that, like that sort of those that kind of funny thought put into it. They're doing that here, but even more. Like, this is a AAA game. Like, they're putting this is probably the first like triple A game that they have done. Like, I don't count the stuff that Bethesda did because they were still considered like a different unit, right? Like, Indiana Jones does not count. Like, this might be the biggest budget thing they've attempted since like Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Like from like Microsoft Game Studios proper, you know what I mean? Like, as far as a single player game goes, it probably is. So like, it's looking good, man. And then of course they kicked the chickens. When they did, and when it did, it changed the title of you. The people were like, you're giving money away to people, and then some people hate you because they despise that you can give money away to people. Oh, look at Mr. Moneybags. It's like, oh shit. So there is no good and evil. That's perfect. The only thing they didn't show was whether or not, if you're good or bad, it like changes your appearance. I don't think it does, but maybe
they probably will do that as an Easter egg or something.
Like, yeah, or like something you can unlock to do it if you want to. But I mean, it looks fun. I'm definitely going to I was on the fence about checking it out, and this changed my mind. I was like, I am so in.
And also, they officially said it's coming out on everything this fall.
At the same time? That's right. It's launching. Yeah, so this is their holiday game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, looks good. I have nothing really else to say other than like I'm actually excited for it.
Yep.
So
I'm excited for it. Again, like I think Xbox leaning into their Play Anywhere system is really going to help them in the long run, because it's like the dual entitlement is just worth it. If you have a lower end PC and you have an Xbox, you can play it on the Xbox. When you upgrade your PC, you can play it even better on your PC.
Like when I sold my Series X to get put towards my Switch 2, and I kept the Series S, because I have, I've got a PC in my bedroom that is like a Ryzen 3600 with an ARC A380. It can do 1080p medium settings if you turn on like XeSS and that, or 720p for like AAA games. Not great. Living room PC that can do anything. That's the 12th gen i7 with the 3080 Ti. But some of the games I've received for review, that are Xbox games, what's great is I can play them a lot of times, on low settings in the bedroom if I want to just play from bed. I play it on like max settings in the living room. And then if I'm like going to visit my mom or somebody, I'll take my Series S with me, hook it up, have the game if it's on that, download it, and I can just seamlessly play my saves on basically anywhere, because it's not like I'm lugging a PC anywhere to go. I mean, if the Steam PC comes out and it's small and light enough, maybe, but like the Series S is the perfect, like, quote unquote portable. Not that you're playing it mobile, but like it's the pick up the system, take it anywhere system, and that's what I've basically turned it into. It's my Game Pass box.
Yep.
Because I'm not expecting crazy graphics out of it. I'm expecting 1080p 30 minimum, and just have it play. And that's sort of what it's become. It's actually been the best value for me, more so than, like, the Series X was great until no good games were coming out exclusively on it. So at that point, my PS5 made more sense. So like this is going to be one of those games where I'll be able to play it on my big PC at home, be happy with it. And then if I want to go to my mom's, summertime or fall or Christmas break or something, and go for a few days, I can take that little white box, hook it up to the TV in the basement, and have something ready to go. So, I'm happy with it. I don't think there's other, like, they have a lot of other studios. I know they had to downsize things, and there's a lot of bad shit that happened.
Handful of games that have been canceled. Some of which haven't officially been said that they're canceled, but
so
people are assuming they're canceled.
We'll probably know more come Jeff Fest when they do their big show.
And at the end on the official Xbox thing, they made a point of saying Gears of War E-Day and the Halo remake are probably going to be the highlights of June.
Yeah, which makes sense, because they're going to want the Halo game will probably come out for Christmas time.
Yeah.
And E-Day,
I don't know, probably late summer, early September.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like, that's probably going to be, if I had to guess, their August game.
Yeah.
And then because after that, they don't want these games to be too close to GTA.
Yeah.
And GTA might still get pushed. We never know. But
if GTA gets pushed, that's gonna fuck everybody over.
Yeah, especially if they push it. Into,
if they're going to push it, they have to make the decision in June. If they don't, then it's gonna fuck everyone.
And it has to be moved, I think, to June of the next year, because everything else will have already, that doesn't want to compete, will have moved to March of next year.
Yep.
And like, it'll fuck over a lot of things if they don't move it to a specific date that far away that other people can mess around with. But I have a feeling, I think that E-Day is probably going to be August. Then we've got, and I'm not counting like Forza, because that'll be the PlayStation release, but like, I'm thinking that's August. I think they'll have a smaller budgeted game for September. They're probably gonna try to push
Fable in October.
Yep, November,
and then Halo in December.
Halo in December after COD, if they do another year of COD. If they do, like, they haven't announced with COD, like, they have to do something different, because COD was not
from right now, from what I know, is this is the last Black Ops 7 is the last one that they're doing on a yearly cycle.
Yeah, so we might not get a COD this year. And if they do, if they do,
it's going to be an update to Warzone.
Yeah, and if we don't have a COD this year, then I suspect Halo comes out, even though it's the single player campaign only, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if that comes out in the November time slot, if they don't have another shooter to come out that time. I would suspect maybe they do a Warzone update, and if they were smart,
because we know Infinity Ward is working on Warzone 2.
So the smart move would be, if they don't have a COD, the smart move is to do a special event where you get to play as Spartans.
Ooh, that would be really good.
Like a special,
that would get people hyped.
Throw the Chief into Fortnite as well, for an event, and then you release the single player game.
Bring back Chief for Fortnite.
Yeah,
for an event.
You do a Fortnite event. You do you throw him in, like, whatever the big multiplayer online slop game is, whatever it's going to be at that time. But specifically, I do think like a Warzone, like Spartan or like ODST sort of like do
Event
some sort
thing.
of do an event where I don't know, a bunch of warthogs are on the map or something, or something's happening, and
Something goofy.
That at the end it's just like, and bam, here you go. Here's in a few weeks time, everybody check out the special occasion. It's the Halo anniversary, blah 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 blah. So I suspect they'll do something like that. But yeah, let's move into the Nintendo Direct. We'll get this out of the way first. The ending was so groan-worthy that I felt the collective internet groan and sigh when Todd showed up to talk about porting games to the Switch 2.
Yeah. At least it was more than one game.
Well, yeah. Okay, obviously, Indiana Jones.
And that really is the big one, especially considering they later confirmed it's on cart.
And they did also confirm after that it's on cart in every region. So, ooh. Because that is something that we've seen before, where a few of the games that were maybe on cart for North America didn't get that in Europe or Asia, or only were on cart in Europe. Blah, blah.
Asia.
I think it was some of the Exceed Marvelous stuff was only U.S. market got the games, like the ones that were in the summertime, on cart, and everybody else had to get game key cards. So that's one of the reasons why they were actually selling out here more, because people were importing them from here over to Europe. But yeah, it is going to be every region is on cart. So the game's clocking in at, I think it's 60 gigs, which is pushing it, because after those the 64 gig carts, once they're formatted, there's like 60.5 gigs or something left over on the cart, right? Yeah. So like they're basically, they brought it right up to the wire of like, there's enough room for your save files, and that's it, sucker.
Yep.
So they move that, and that actually looks legitimately good. That's not on Bethesda. That is just Machine Games is good at porting their game. Because
Machine Games is ports of the Wolfenstein games on Switch were miracle ports.
And those were, I think, in conjunction with Panic Button, or somebody else helped that.
Panic Button was the one that was helping out.
This one looks like it's internal. It looks like they worked on it themselves. Maybe they got some help from NVIDIA or from Nintendo, but that hasn't been announced. It's looking like they did an internal direct, like they were like, hey, we got to get this shit working. Then they showed off Fallout 4. We're working our way sort of backwards, but they showed off Fallout 4, and it looked hilariously bad. Like,
Fallout 4 is now what, 10 years old?
Is it more than that even? Is it 2015, 2016? Yeah, you're right. It's probably 10 years at least. And my bias against their first party developed stuff aside, this looked like worse
2015,
than PS3.
so yes, it is 10 years old.
Yeah, it looks worse than a PS3 game. It looks worse than the PS3 version of Fallout 3. There's no shadows in most scenes. Objects look like they're floating in the air when they're on the ground, because they've done no shading or lighting. Basically every effect, it's like they set the game to 720p lowest setting on PC, and then still upscaled from 240p.
Yeah.
It's like it looks like the laziest porting job I've ever seen, ever, for any company. And even the super fanboys out there, and even like Birdman, he's like, "Oh, that doesn't look that great." I'm like, see, they are just bad at port, and it's because the game engine is so bloated and improperly coded that it just doesn't translate. And they also haven't announced if that's going to be like a game key card or not. I have a feeling it is.
It probably is, but that's also coming out at the end of the month. Yeah.
So, and what was the other game that they showed? There was 3.
Oblivion.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah. Did you notice that they showed all the scenes when you're inside and underground? The second you go outside, that's going to become a slideshow. Like that is that Oblivion is weird. Like the graphic engine is better coded, but it's still running off of that engine that, like, even
The back
back in
end is still a mess.
that was more of a mess. Even though it's not as bloated, that was more of a mess because they've never. There's not been a version of that game on any platform ever that didn't have horrific traversal stutter when it's streaming in assets. And their problem is they were really, really, really legitimately ambitious in the Xbox and even into the early 360 era of what they were trying to do. They implemented engines and systems that nobody else was doing, but the bad part is they just didn't have the technical ability to make it work.
They were forced by their board to stick with that same engine for a decade and a half.
And now they're at a point where you would have to rebuild it from scratch, and they just don't want to put the money in to do it. So that's my biggest complaint is the amount of money they make. They don't deserve any leniency when it comes to criticism. And the fact that they refuse to ever take any constructive criticism over the design of their games. And that a lot of that is Todd. But yeah. Anyway, beyond that, they look rough. But Indiana Jones looks great. That's the best way to say it.
And then just moving backwards, you have Capcom just showing everyone up.
Yeah. See, like, okay, it's like you want to get. I had complaints when that very first reveal trailer where they showed it running on the Switch 2 with Resident Evil. I was like, ooh, that looks rough. And if you look back, it does look rough.
Yeah.
I swear, within like 2 months, they've already increased the visual fidelity significantly.
Well, they've talked about how they got it to 60 FPS.
Because it was running at like 25 FPS, and like, you remember like how blocky the hair looked?
Yeah.
And it was like, ooh, this looks kind of rough. And it wasn't like they were using like a really old build. It's just that was the state of the engine in like November when they were putting together the trailer. They dramatically increased it.
They showed it to press like a couple of weeks ago, and everyone was like, holy shit, this is running immaculate.
Yeah, is it going to be a cut down version? Yeah, it's going to be dramatically cut down, but it's not going to be. You're not seeing the sacrifices visually. Like they've done a lot of stuff to do like perceptually it looks fine, but if you really like when Digital Foundry, other people are going to start analyzing frame by frame,
find some really cool stuff.
Yeah, and it's probably, it wouldn't surprise me if they're doing some sort of that foveated rendering stuff that you see advertised in 3D headsets, where perceptually it's the way that a lot of like high efficiency compression works for video, where like wherever the eye is drawn to gets the higher bit rate.
Yep.
That's probably what they're doing is they're spending the render time on what your eyes are going to be focusing on. And then the rest is going to be rendered at like way lower res. And you probably won't notice it too much. So I think they're doing a really good job with that. Like, and I'm not...
And also Nintendo's backing them big time because they're getting a Pro controller and they're getting 2 amiibos.
Yeah. Like my brother was at work when the show was on, and he's just like, I'll watch the show with you, but you have to tell me. I'm going to avoid spoilers if there's any amiibo. So I had to send him an amiibo alert, and he's like, "Oh god damn it! Now I got to take a break at work and look and see if Best Buy or anybody else has the pre-orders up yet." I don't know if he found any yet, but still, I was like, "Dude, it's not coming."
They're not coming till the summer anyway.
Yeah. So, So he's like, "Okay, so I have time." I'm like, "Yeah," and then he goes, "Oh, they're not as detailed as," I said, "But yeah, but they're not going to be as expensive as like the oversized ones."
Yeah.
But I remember all the comments before. It's like, "Give us an amiibo."
That's mostly because the Street Fighter ones didn't sell at all.
Exactly. But yeah, so I mean that looks great. I mean, am I going to play it? No, not unless I got it for review and I was streaming it.
Not on Switch 2, but
no,
Xbox, sure. Because Capcom's also supporting Play Anywhere.
Exactly. It's like, okay, exactly. But now let's sort of jump back to the beginning. The show opened with Orbitals, which I think, if I remember correctly, before it was revealed to the public, or the West, I think that was part of that indie Japanese showcase I saw last summer.
Yes.
And I don't believe
and then they announced it for everyone at Gamescom, I think.
Yeah, because when I saw it there, I don't think it had a platform. It was just like, here's a preview, and it was like, here's what's coming from this company, and they didn't say that it was Switch 2 exclusive, and then they announced it's exclusive. And from what I can tell, it's like actually exclusive, not like
Yeah, no,
platform,
legit.
not like it's like not coming to PC. It's literally just Switch 2. So maybe
It'll come to everything else in like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, because they didn't say that the wording of it was not a Switch 2 exclusive. It was launching exclusively.
Yes.
So it's probably like a
6 to 8 month window, something like that.
Sort of like a Hollow Knight type sort of situation, or one of those where wasn't that like Switch exclusive, or Hades was like one of them was like
Hades 2 is exclusive to Switch for they'll probably announce the rest of the ports in like June.
Something like that. But again, they also didn't show in the previous trailers what the gameplay, like what it was. It's an It Takes Two clone. And I was like, oh, cool. It looks awesome. I'm going to totally play that. So, and they are following the same style where one person can buy it, and then the other person, anybody on your friends list, can join as the second player. You don't have to have 2 copies of the game. So I can see why they were pushing it, because it's a feature that they can advertise as part of the game sharing that they now have with the Switch 2.
Yeah.
But yes, Paranormosite, which I almost had a heart attack thinking it was Chrono Trigger for hearing the ticking clock at the beginning.
The ticking clock, yeah.
Because it was almost identical, and I swear they fucking knew what they were doing, because they did that. They got people thinking about it. I think I'm not even reading too much into this. I honestly think that they did that to gauge what the reaction would be online to if Chrono Trigger was announced. I don't necessarily think Chrono Trigger's in the works, but I think that they're looking to see how many people online are going crazy thinking it was Chrono Trigger. It looks okay, because that's I think it's Square Enix handling that through one of their indie initiatives or something, right?
Yes. And
Which,
I mean, like, this is the second one in the franchise, and the first one did pretty well.
Yeah, like low budget, like true, like not even AA, like low budget sort of game.
Yeah.
Captain Tsubasa 2, I don't know if we got the first one here.
Nope. Not as far as I know.
But yeah,
But it's basically Mario Soccer with anime characters.
Yeah. So cool. Tokyo Scramble, aka
not Dino Crisis.
We'll do Dino Crisis ourselves, Capcom. And it looks bad. But I mean, it looks like fun streaming bad.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be fun friend slop.
Because it looks pretty jank. But and also the title doesn't make any sense.
And I'm pretty sure that's releasing on everything. It's not exclusive to Switch.
But
no, it is exclusive to Switch.
It's a mixture of, like, what was that series, Disaster something or other, where you're like, the puzzle aspect of it is avoiding horrible things happening, and in this case it also adds dinosaurs.
Yep.
Valheim, which I know is popular but I think looks horrible, is coming out. Sure.
It's not even 1.0 yet, by the way.
Okay. I mean, I know people like it, but it's really not a me game at all.
Yeah. Hollow Knight finally getting the Switch 2 update.
Yeah.
Because that game runs at 720 on Switch.
720, yeah, and it does, from what I've seen, did not scale well. So this is getting
it scaled horribly.
They didn't announce whether or not it's getting, but I would not be surprised if this is one of the ones that gets a 1080 120 mode in the handheld mode.
I downloaded the update. I haven't tried it yet.
I get this is a game that can easily run in the 120 mode. So yeah. on the platform, like there will be zero issue running it. I have a feeling it's probably...
I would assume it's running the same as Silksong in terms of its playability.
Which isn't that a 120 handheld mode?
Yeah, it's 120. Well? It's 120. It's 1080p 120 on handheld and
4K scaled up to 120 or 4K 60.
No, it's 1080p. It's 1080p 120 on when you're playing in docked, and then it's 1080p 120 if you're playing on the handheld.
Oh, same in both. Okay, that makes sense.
Same in both because it's running a 2.1 spec.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, that great for the people that want to play it, and it's a free update, right?
Yeah, free update.
Yeah,
which
okay.
is it's exactly what people like. Anyone that's like been chomping at the bit, like, please update Hollow Knight because it looks terrible on Switch.
Yeah, like now the other one people are all complaining and waiting about is it's time for Shinobi to get that update.
Yeah.
Because that one looks rough when playing it on like a 4K TV.
Yeah.
eFootball, that's the who's publishing that? Is that the one that is that the Konami one? Like the rebranded PES
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever?
Konami.
Yeah.
It's Konami.
Okay. So it'll be a port of the mobile game that nobody plays. But sure. The Adventures of Elliot Millennium Tales showed off more. It's looking better. I haven't played the demo yet. I got to go play that this week.
And they've also said, I posted in our group chat, Square actually announced, here's the stuff we took from the update, from the demo feedback and changed, as well as the fact that this is coming to everything.
Yep.
As per Square usually does at this point.
And the demo save will carry on in the game they announced. So,
no, not this one.
That's right, not this one. Sorry. But yes, looks good. We'll check it out. And I got the date. It was dated for the summer.
Yeah, it was dated for June. Mid-June.
Bomberman Collection on Switch and Switch 2. Shadow dropped
on everything.
I think Birdman has a review copy that he's going to be working on. He was offered it. I knew that the first two games had come to Super Nintendo. I thought there were two more that we didn't get. I didn't realize there were three more we didn't get. So basically, it includes that plus the first two that were available on Nintendo here are there. The only thing it's missing, as far as like what classic Bomberman fans would want, is like, it doesn't have the two or three of them that were on the TurboGrafx where the series originated. But that's obviously, and it doesn't have the, I would say, most infamous one, which was probably the Saturn one, because that was 10-player.
Yeah. But also, like, being able to play multiplayer, not only with Nintendo's game share, but also just online with people. Like, yes, this is what people have been wanting.
And three of the games have never had official English releases, and they've got that down now. And not just English, it'll be whatever other languages. If they're releasing it in Europe, it's got to be the big five. So it'll have options for whatever languages are needed, which I don't necessarily think fan patches have releases in all those languages. I'm pretty sure that there's been fan patches for a couple of them, at least in English. But
at this point, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. But yeah, FF Rebirth got its date got the official announcement for multi-platform, and now obviously it says Switch 2 here, but also for Xbox and PC for the.
Well, it's already been on PC for a while.
Yeah, but the refreshed version that's going to have the boost modes and everything is coming for June 3rd, which coming that early, that's before Jeff Fest.
Yes,
so
that's on purpose.
So if we ain't getting a PlayStation, like, I have a feeling we're getting a PlayStation showcase, and they're going to announce the title for the game in like a few weeks, and then I think we get gameplay at Jeff Fest.
Yeah,
and if we don't,
that's probably early next year.
I think it's January, because I think January of '97 is when it was released in Japan originally.
Ooh, yeah, no. If they're gonna make it a nice even,
because I think it was January in Japan and either summer or fall here, so it'll be probably going to drop for the 30th.
Yeah.
And that would also let it slip away from GTA.
Yes.
Because if GTA does get pushed, it won't be pushed into January. It would be pushed. No. It also would not be pushed into March. That is a summer or fall game only. It would, if it gets pushed, it would be May, June, September, or October.
Yes.
So yeah.
And as far as we know, 2K isn't planning on that so far.
So far.
According to their investor call, but who knows?
Yeah. So this will, if it does launch on every platform, which is the rumor, all at once, that will be.
It's not even a rumor. Literally, the director of Rebirth, literally said it flat out.
Okay, because I know that was a bit of contention because Sony paid for it.
It might have been a translation thing. I don't know.
Yeah, the goal is to have, if they do officially announce that it's coming to Switch 2, Xbox, PC, and PlayStation at the exact same time, it might be the largest January release ever for any game.
Yeah, period.
Because by then you'll have, I would not be surprised, because I know that Rebirth didn't sell as much as they had hoped when it came out in March of 2024. I get the feeling,
and we also don't necessarily have the numbers for Remake Intergrade on. We know it's sold really well on Switch 2 because there were physical copies of that. But in terms of the Xbox numbers and Switch 2 numbers, we don't necessarily know those numbers just yet as of this recording.
I have a feeling that when they announce it, if it comes to every platform, you will see two versions. You'll see three versions. You'll see a regular, a deluxe edition, and you'll see a triple pack that has all three games on every platform. And that'll be like the collector's edition will be like $200, and it will come with all three games.
Yeah.
And if they do that, I could see them announcing a first month sales of 5 to 10 million copies.
Easy.
Because I was not sure that having the remake and Rebirth coming to other platforms would give it the significant boost, because we saw that Final Fantasy 16 didn't get. I think Final Fantasy 16 sold an additional 1 million copies on every platform. So it basically had a massive burst of sales in its first 2 months or 3 months of being out on PlayStation 5, and then had a very little bit of sales once all the final DLC was out. I think it sold an additional several 100,000 copies, and then only about 1 million copies on other platforms. I believe with Final Fantasy 7, it was more like 2 or 3 times that. Like they sold several million.
And also the big thing with this was with the PC versions was they got Steam Deck support for those, and that was a huge boon for them.
So I could see, launching on everything all at once. It would be as like FF7 remake on PS4, because of the pandemic release and everything. It did real big, right? Like it
Gangbuster.
It was the highest selling game.
It was that and Persona 5 Royal came out like within a week of each other, and they both sold stupid.
Persona sold, I think it was 2 or 3 million copies, which is a lot. It was like a franchise best for a release for them. But I believe Final Fantasy 7, if we look back, I think remake on PS4 was the only like non-COD, non-sports title that made the top 10 games of that year. Like it was by far it sold more. It sold more than, because people forget how big of that year was pretty big, man. Because it was really that Last of Us Part 2 came out and Ghost of Tsushima in the same year.
Yeah, within a month of each other, wasn't it?
It was like Ghost of Tsushima, and then a month later was Last of Us, and that in itself was only like 3 months after Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So like when you think about that, like it held its own against those. So I have a feeling this could be like, if it's a January release, don't be surprised if it comes out on every platform if they announce like 5 million sales in the first week or month.
Yeah.
Because especially the smart move is, them realizing that not every game has to be balls hard, especially with the length of this game. When they put that, they said they're putting the boosts in there, which will be like the, raise to max level, blah, blah, blah.
Well, you go up to level 45, basically.
Well,
it's the same. I don't know how Rebirth is going to work, but the way Intergrade worked is you go up to level 45, so you have 5 more levels to level up.
But you also have the option to go into the settings in Remake
and tweak a shit ton of
and you could
stuff.
turn on the thing that even says there's a mode that says max damage all the time.
Yeah.
So every hit does 9,000. Like that's what you, if you're really stuck on like the hardest stuff that you want to do the battle mode stuff or whatever, like you could potentially turn, if they're doing the same settings, you could turn that on and turn what it would be 100-hour game into like 30 hours.
Which is what I'm doing with Remake.
Exactly. So if you do that, like, and Remake itself, I think if I did everything pretty much except for those last few battles until like that boost mode came out, I think I put 40 hours in, and you could cut that down to likely half of that, because there is a lot of story mode.
I'm getting close to the point in Overturn, and I'm like 16 hours in.
Exactly. Yeah, 20 is probably, and literally I have 105 hours or something in my save of Rebirth, which is everything except for the hardest battle mode stuff, battle arena stuff, as well. And I'm missing the one quest which is kind of hard, which is like the fetch quest where you're jumping around Golden Saucer to beat that guy in competitions. And I have everything else done, and the only thing I didn't do is I didn't build the Genji gear, because fuck that. But because that's too much of a grind. But basically, as 100 hours, I've heard people saying that if based on how fast the boost mode stuff will be, you'll probably be able to cut the game down to 30 to 35 hours to do literally to do everything.
And that's good for something like Switch 2.
Especially when, like, the idea would be between the two games, you only have to play about 40 to 50 hours, and you could be caught up. That's going to bring people's interest much more into the new one. So if the new one ends up being 120 hours, people won't care, because to get to that point, if you were on the fence before, you can just speed through.
You're already invested.
And then you can play through like the rest of us and just be like, whole time as your seat waiting to see what's going to happen. So yeah, Pragmata, dated for April 24th. I think that date was already announced, but they showed off more. Oh, the big announcement here was that the demo that was only available on PC before that we played has now dropped onto Switch. I'm assuming other platforms, and that save file will give you some bonuses when you start the game.
Yep.
Turok, I'm not sure if it's an MMO or if it's a single player. They weren't really great at explaining that.
It's from Saber, so it's asymmetrical.
Yeah, we'll see. Kyoto Xanadu, a new Xanadu. I know they had talked about Xanadu being the franchise that at Falcom that they felt that they neglected. They made that one that was available on, I think it was PSP or Vita originally, and then it moved to Tokyo Xanadu, moved to the PS4, and it was like a little bit of Persona E, a little bit like, it was okay. It wasn't the greatest game ever. I own it, but I've never actually beaten it. This one looks like a hybrid, like they're mixing 2 or 3 styles in it. Looks lower budget. Looks like it could be fun. It's just nice to see them doing something a little different.
Yeah. A lot of people were just like, they didn't know what it was, and then they realized it was Falcom, and they were like, "Oh, it's a Yeezy kind of game."
Yeah, it's like Ys mixed with the like Persona E sort of system and a little bit of Metroidvania.
Yeah.
Whereas the previous game was like a Persona clone.
Yeah.
Digimon Story Time Strangers getting the port over in July. It looks like it's running pretty good. I'm a little surprised it's running on Switch. It's going to be really, really, really rough on Switch. But Switch 2 it'll be fine.
Yep.
My quibbles with some of the design of that game is still there. It is kind of bland, and the story in that. And until you compare it to Pokemon, you realize, this is Pokemon wishes it could perform and look like this.
Also it said Switch 2 will get performance in a graphic mode.
Okay, yeah, so you'll be able to do 30 or 60.
So yeah,
which is fun. And to be honest, the game isn't really pretty, except for a few backgrounds. Some of the backgrounds and some of the biomes that you're in are
you
really
can tell
good.
it's like a AA kind of game.
Yeah. There's a couple parts later in the game where the backgrounds look really good, but for the vast majority of it, just play it in the like fidelity, or sorry, play it in the FPS mode just for smoothness, because it's not even in the graphics mode. Well, first of all, it's 60 FPS versus whatever Pokemon's doing.
Mm.
But like even the worst that this game can looks better than the best Pokemon game ever looked. So just play it in that mode for ease of use. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, okay. I don't know if anybody that we know or any of our listeners really care. Monster Hunter Stories 3. I am excited for this. When I saw it, they're like, "Oh, the newest Monster Hunter." I was like, "Oh, I don't want to." When I said that, in my head, I was thinking, I forgot that this was coming. I was like, "Oh, they're not going to try to get the one that has horrible performance on every platform to move over." Nope. This is the one that's like the traditional JRPG that looks a bit like Xeno. That should be kind of fun.
And the demo is out on everything. I have tried the demo. The character customization is probably the most simple yet robust character customization I've ever seen in a game in a while.
So I'll have to check out that demo then. Arcade Archives is coming with more stuff, and then they're having Console Archives, which is concerning because that tells me that Nintendo is caring a lot less about putting stuff on their own service. Also, the big thing out of that was, they're showing some arcade games. Yeah, they're showing console games. Well, Cool Borders. That's a PlayStation game.
They also got Ninja Gaiden 2.
Because, Ninja Gaiden I get, but it's like they're putting games that were PlayStation properties on here. That's odd to me, but okay. That's they had a sizzle reel with a bunch of random stuff, but it wasn't anything.
We already know Scott Pilgrim EX is coming in March.
All that stuff, exactly. So that's pretty much it. It was a little underwhelming. There was some
in that sizzle, they announced Tales of Arise is getting ported to Switch.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, cool. But that's pretty much it, man. It wasn't super exciting stuff. It'll be interesting to see what comes out over the next few months. We will probably come back with a new show when another showcase or two gets announced, like from Sony or somebody. But
we have the rumored Nintendo Direct at the end of the month, along with Pokemon Day, which they're going to show Gen 10 at that. So
we'll see what goes on from there. But that's probably it, man. I was going to go into like what's coming out the next few weeks, but you know what? There's nothing major yet. And if there is anything coming out that we want to talk about, we can always jump on and do another podcast. But that's it.
I mean,
it was sort of
there's some stuff in early March, but we've kind of already covered it here with like Monster Hunter Stories 3, Scott Pilgrim.
And we'll jump in if there's a bigger review that we're doing that we want to discuss. So that's pretty much it. It was just sort of like, hey,
maybe talk RE.
Yeah, it's like, hey, here's where we're at the beginning of the year. Welcome back to the prototype. Here's the showcases that have happened. Our general thoughts on it. And that's pretty much going to do it, man. Like, I guess we'll be back as soon as we see something major or something within the next month or so. So I guess that's going to do it for us here at the prototype. It's been Alex, the producer, and
Ken from His Anime.
Alrighty, saying whatever. Let's play some games. And oh my God, it's freaking cold outside.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.